I bear witness that there is no God worth of worship except Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his final slave and messenger.
Hello and welcome to Diary of a Common Man. My name is Lalani. Finally, we seem to be getting closer to Islamic Ummah. Why do I say finally? Because so far, the Muslims that I have spoken to seeking support in relation to Agakhan's desecration of Islam has been very unfruitful, to say the least. They did not have anything to do with Agakhan desecrating the sanctity of Allah. They're very tolerant people and they're very nice people, and they said, no, Agakhan can do whatever he wants to do. It's really up to him, and we are very nice people. These Muslims that I spoke to, they were not originally Muslims. They were born in Agakhani faith, and then they became ex-Agakhanis. Some of them were Ishnasharis, some of them were Khoja Ishnasharis, and they didn't have anything to do with Agakhan destroying the sanctity of Allah and desecrating the principle of Tawheed. But they still managed to call themselves Muslims for some reason. I don't know how that works. If any Muslim ulema can come and explain that behavior, I would like to learn as to how does this version of Islam work. Anyway, I have spoken to two YouTube channels. I was interviewed by them. You can watch my interviews with them on Dystopia to Reason and Omar Baloch, Sheikh Omar Baloch in America. And both the channels, Sheikh Omar's channel, they were absolutely blown away by what I had to say. They were shaking their heads. They said, no, how can this happen? How can this happen? And they have promised me support. How that support is going to materialize, if it is going to materialize, I don't know. But I found commitment in their voice, and they are willing to support me. And we are talking about Muslim Ummah, a section, a small section of Muslim Ummah, and that's all we need to basically ask Agakhan a question. What is going on? Please respond. That's all. That's all. Nothing else. So, what is going through my head is this, which is a wish coming true, is I just wanted somebody, first of all, to stand by my side, and collectively I wanted them to go to Agakhan and ask a question. Like I have been asking a question on my email, my videos for last 15-16 months, that Mr. Agakhan, please respond. But he wouldn't respond. He would intimidate. He would try to bribe me. He would send me legal notices. But he would not respond to my issues that I am raising. So this is the first time I feel that if Muslim Ummah should basically join me in asking a question to Agakhan, he will not have a choice but to respond. What response can he give? I really don't know. I really don't know if there is an appropriate response to Salim Lalani's issues, because these are pretty damaging issues, and what Salim Lalani is talking about is actually true. So if you were Agakhan, you would be in serious bother right now. Now let's see. So the plan is this. We will send a petition to Agakhan if we get the signatures. Okay? Sheikh Omar and Raj from Dystopia to Reason, those two channels have promised me that they will definitely find 1,000 people between them to sign the petition. And we will send the petition. We will only ask Agakhan that Salim has raised very serious issues, serious allegations, not only from the humanitarian perspective, but from the Islamic perspective as well, from the legal perspective, moral perspective, ethical perspective as well. And these are pretty damaging allegations. So Mr. Agakhan, please respond. Now, whether he will respond, whether he will not respond, we don't know. Whether the petition is going to happen, whether it's not going to happen, we don't know. But these are some of the things that are in the pipeline. Let's move on. Apart from that, I got an email from a Muslim, a young man, and that Muslim was the first one, apart from Sheikh Omar and Raj in Dystopia. This email came to me before all this happened, and it was the first message to me in the last 16 months from a Muslim who is concerned about Agakhan desecrating Allah. First Muslim. All the Muslims that I've spoken to so far, or ex-Muslim or ex-Agakhanis, that is, they didn't have anything to do with Allah. This young man is an example to be followed if you are a Muslim. In a very simple language, he writes to me that if Agakhan is basically destroying the sanctity of Allah, that is the Tawheed, I would like to do something about that. I wish and I hope that all you ex-Agakhanis that consider yourself Muslims, please learn a lesson from this young man. Yeah. All right, let's move on. The news you may have heard that once again Agakhani Murids are caught committing criminal activity, in particularly money laundering in Houston. And these Agakhanis are from Hyderabad in India. And somehow Agakhanis say we are very educated people, we are very civil people, we respect the law of the land. Look, if your Imam doesn't respect the law of the land, If he is a criminal, how can you expect the murids not to be criminals? Okay. Another thing I would like to talk about today is I'm getting a lot of phone calls, and obviously some of them are good, some of them are not so good. Good and bad, I mean that some people want to abuse me on the phone and tell me off, and some people really want to pat my back. It's a mixture, but the phone calls are now getting to a point where it is taking a lot of my time. So in the interest of time, I'm not running away, I'm just saying that in the interest of time, anybody that would like to speak to me one-on-one can join this Saturday Gupshup. Okay, and express yourself, whatever you want to say. The Gupshup is starting this Saturday, that is 28th of May. The details are here on this slide, so please have a look at the timings in your city, and please join me in large numbers so we can have a chit chat, understand each other a little bit better. Yet another thing I would like to talk about today is that my website is now fully functional. Finally, it has taken a long time, but finally it is fully functional. What do I mean by fully functional? Fully functional means that you can now use the volunteer tab. If you click on the volunteer tab, you will see a volunteer form, which is a very small form, and there are very few questions that are asked, and there are no personal questions that are asked. Okay, so if you would like to volunteer, if you'd like to help me, please complete that form and submit it. Number one. Number two, it has a donation button. Obviously no campaign can run without donations, so you can click on the donation button and make a donation if you wish. That's the website. In the future, we will basically add all the videos that we produced so far and all the interviews that I'm giving to other channels and to the media. So we will basically put all that in it whenever that happens. The another thing that I would like to talk about is the fact that our campaign has moved on quite a bit, in the sense that I'm continuing to get phone calls and emails and text messages that they have now realized that Agakhani system is actually a fraud and they are moving away, or they are staying but they are not going to pay money to Agakhan. It is an absolute no. So well done. What I would like you to do is that if you are in a good position, help real people that you know in your Jamaat Khana, in your masjid, in your locality, wherever they are, you will find them. There are plenty of them. They are everywhere in the world. Okay, they are not limited to the third world country. They are there in the Western countries as well. So instead of giving that dason, give it to the poor people who actually need it. Because this money that you're giving in Jamaat Khana is going to criminals. And Agakhan is not the only criminal. The leaders that are sitting in the Jamaat Khana, to whom you are giving the money, it is very likely that they are also criminals and they are dipping their hands into the cash that you are giving them. Because there is no accountability, remember, there is no accountability. Okay, So please refrain from giving the money. That's all I'm asking. All I'm asking is give that money to somebody who needs it, somebody who is in desperate trouble. Please, please do it. Yeah. Let's now continue with where we left off last time. We spoke about the money system pre-1991. So just to recap that, we spoke about how the money was transferred before 1991 in suitcases via the borders, which is called money laundering. Now, in 1991, what happened is that these people, these Ismaili donkeys or mules, they were caught on the border of US-Canada. So I may have spoken about this before, but let me, for those of you who haven't seen that particular episode, it is important that I repeat it. You must watch that documentary, which was produced by Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. But I will narrate that story here just to refresh your memory, or in case you haven't heard of it, because it is very significant and very relevant to the topic that is at hand. So the way it happened is in 1991, a car is basically trying to cross the US-Canada border in Seattle. And the car is a Mercedes-Benz, and it is driven by a man, an Agakhani donkey or a mule called Sadruddin Kabani. And the customs officer asked him a question. Have you got anything to declare? And he says, no, nothing to declare. But on a hunch, the custom officer feels that there is something wrong here. So he steps out of his cabin and he says, open the boot of the car. And Sadruddin opens the boot of the car. The boot is clean, no issues. He says, okay, open the tire well. And in the tire well, they find millions of dollars in cash. Sadruddin Kabani is arrested later on, not on that particular day, but he's arrested and an investigation begins. US police notifies the Canadian authorities and they basically conduct an investigation into this cash being transferred. And the investigation comes up with a modus operandi, that the money is coming from the Agakhani Jamaat Khanas in cash. And it is put in suitcases by Agakhani Murids, and it is taken across the border into Canada. And from Canada, it basically, the money is transferred via different bank accounts into Agakhan's Swiss bank account, which is in Lloyd's Bank in Geneva. And the investigation also finds that over a short period of time, about $100 million were transferred from North America to Agakhan's Swiss bank account. Now, there was no criminal activity we'll start this again. Unfortunately, Agakhan could not be incriminated because he didn't do anything wrong. Legally, that is. Of course, ethically and morally, he is the mastermind who is making the mules to carry the money and that kind of stuff, which we will talk about later. But legally, he didn't do anything wrong. Somebody put the money in his Swiss bank account, and Swiss bank encourages secrecy, money secrecy. So nothing wrong, yeah. But The US government were not happy with that situation, that they couldn't do anything, but they did get the Agakhani Murids. So what they did is they did a sting operation. So there was another, apart from Sadru Kabani, there was another mule, Agakhani mule, who was carrying, who was doing this activity. So there are few people who do it in every Jamaat Khana. So all you do is to basically transfer millions and you get a commission, yeah, a percentage. So that's what they do. They do money laundering from here to there. So the US government, they wanted to grab somebody in relation to money laundering because it was a big deal, $100 million and no accountability. So they ran a sting operation. Now to sting Agakhani community, they had to find somebody from inside. Unfortunately, I wasn't there at that time. I was a strong Agakhani Murid at that time. And if I was there, things would have been completely different. But they found a guy called Hashim inside the Jamaat Khana, and they took him in confidence. And with his help, they got another mule, a money launderer in the Jamaat Khana, and they basically arranged that mule to meet undercover police in a hotel. Now this undercover police, basically Hashim goes and tells the money launderer, Ali Bhai, Nizam Ali Bhai or something like that, that look, you're doing this money transfer for Agakhan, I have got another client for you, but this time the money is a little bit bigger than what you are used to transferring or laundering. And obviously Ali Bhai's Sultan, I think it was Sultan Ali Bhai, not Nizam. Sultan Ali Bhai and his wife, the shameless people. I mean, you see the documentary, how shameless that lady is. The guy, Sultan Ali Bhai, didn't appear to be so shameless, but this lady had no remorse at all. She was defending her position. But anyway, that's another matter. Sultan Ali Bhai, Hashim goes and tells him, you've got a big client, let's meet at this hotel. The room of the hotel is completely wired by the authorities. And the undercover police officer basically comes into that room and he basically makes an offer to Sultan that, look, this is how much money that needs to be transferred. This is drug money. This money needs to be transferred across. And it is a much, much larger money. Can you handle it? And Sultan says, yeah, no problem. No problem. And Sultan is arrested. And the investigation in total, the documentary is actually, it shows a few Agakhani leaders arrested. They are bound in chains and driven away to a jail. This is Agakhani community. Who is it that said to me that they are educated people? Who is it that said to me that they are forward-looking people? Who is it that said to me that they are law-abiding citizens of the country? Come out. Come out and face me. You can't. If you have any shame, if you have any 1 ounce of conscience, come out and admit it, that you are wrong. Admit it. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But no, you can't. What the attitude that you have at the moment is to hide, is to not watch my videos, That's okay. Okay, no problem. Don't watch my videos. Your Imam does. And he is scared. And he should be scared. He should be scared. Because Salim Lalani is not stopping. And now it is a very distinct possibility that Muslim Ummah is about to stand up. These are challenging times for your Imam. You can hide, that's okay, that's okay. What can you do? What do cowards do? You tell me, what do cowards do? They hide. You hide as well. Okay, so that's how the game happened in 1991. Now, this event in 1991 had a profound impact on the Agakhani money transfer system. They realized from there onwards that we cannot do this, or we will have to basically cut it down. The money needs to find another channel. From there on, there is this institution or an agency of Agakhan Development Network. It's called Agakhan Fund for Economic Development. This fund has a lot of businesses. Whether they were acquired before 1991 or whether they were acquired after 1991, I have not done my research on that. But whatever the case, after 1991, all of a sudden we see all these businesses under the umbrella of AgFed, which is Agakhan Fund for Economic Development. So this agency buys a lot of businesses. It acquires a lot of businesses. And amongst those businesses, we see banks. For example, the Diamond Trust Bank, Habib Bank, etc., etc. But why banks? Banks would now be the channel to launder money. Suitcases, cash is still happening, but on a lower scale than before. Banks and other businesses would become the places where the money laundering will happen. So now we are stepping post 1991. So this is what happens after 1991, is that the cash from the Jamaat Khana will be taken to the bank. Now the bank is owned by Agakhan himself, and the staff is also Agakhanis. So no questions asked. The bank receives the money without fulfilling anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism laws. Now, what are these laws? Anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism funding is a worldwide situation where the governments want to ensure that people don't use money transfer to fund terrorism in the world. So the requirement is that if you basically are transferring money or banking money more than a certain amount, then you must complete a form. And that form must be submitted to the government authorities so that they can basically keep a track of who is basically regularly transferring large amounts, so they can basically identify the crime. Now, these are the laws. So if Agakhan's cash money was to go to a normal bank, the bank would be required by law to get the Agakhanis to complete a form. Where did this money come from? And they cannot complete that form. It is black money. Okay. So what Agakhan does is he buys banks and he basically accepts large amounts of cash without completing the forms. In other words, violating the anti-money laundering laws of the country that he lives in or his murids live in. Yeah? That is a new channel. But they got caught doing that. In New York, Habib Bank closed down because they failed to stick to or adhere to the anti-money laundering laws. They were fined $225 million. Yes. But what happened at Habib Bank in New York is only a tip of the iceberg. The authorities around the world will discover the iceberg under the surface. And it will be my job to make the authorities around the world become aware that there is an iceberg here. Your people are being abused. Indian people, American people, Canadian people, UK people, African people. Pakistani people are also abused, but there is nothing anybody can do about Pakistan. It is beyond repair. The whole system is completely corrupted. Similar situation we may have in India, but not to that extreme that Pakistan is basically in right now. So I don't think I'll be able to do anything about Pakistan apart from making people aware that for God's sake stand up. Yeah, but from legal point of view, I don't think Pakistani government is going to allow me to basically make any inroads into that area. So yeah, we will make the governments aware that there is an iceberg just under the surface. This is the new method of money laundering in Agakhani system as we speak. That's all we have time for today. I hope you'll join me next week. Take care. Goodbye.